What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Spread the Positive podcast. I am your host, Trent Denson, man. Got a really special guest with us today. This is going to be, yeah, get ready to laugh, folks. This guy is very funny and definitely living out that STP mission, man. So, everybody give it my new friend, Patrick Sisk. How are you, man?
Oh man, I'm so good. You have now set the bar very high, and I tend to like to set the bar low, so people aren't very disappointed. They're like, "Oh, that guy, okay." No, I appreciate it. I'm
Nah,
so
man.
honored. Thanks for letting me be here, man.
Absolutely, man. So Patrick is a comedian based out of Orlando, Florida. Got to give a big shout out to my guy Daniel Collins, the Colonel himself, Mister Wall of Fame Entertainment, Whiskey Soldier, near and dear to my heart. Got nothing but love for my guy Dan. And he put us together, man. So we're gonna chop it up, tell your story, talk about what you got going, and whatever comes with it, man. I'm excited to get into it. But typically, how I like to do it is take it back to young Patrick, early passions, just what childhood, just kind of how you've become the great person that you are. What you got, man?
Oh, okay, yeah. So my story begins pretty easy. I'm actually adopted, and I was brought into another family, and I was raised by older parents. My dad was 50 by the time I was adopted, and my mom was like 45. So they instilled in me, a sense of respect, a sense of love, a sense of loving people who aren't your own, so to speak. As I sometimes
Love
call it,
that.
loving outside your circle. And and
Love that.
so uh, so they helped. They I grew up Nashville, Tennessee, born and raised, and spent a lot
Okay.
of years there, and went to college there and all that stuff. And from a young age, I wanted to be a comedian, and there were a lot of things in life that kind of up and was flowing, and didn't really do comedy for a while, and then within the last about a year ago or so, I now all of a sudden I'm hitting the ground running, loving it, and sold out a couple of shows and headlining clubs and stuff like that. So
Heck
it's a
yeah.
lot of fun. So
That's amazing. So, I mean, you this has been a long time coming. So, I mean, how old
yeah,
were you when you first discovered that, or wanting to be a
um,
comedian, I should say?
I mean, I think I can remember, age like 2 or 3 that I was wanting like the attention, and I was telling people jokes,
Okay.
and I was telling jokes that I didn't understand the punchline, and then I would get in trouble because they were apparently adult jokes. And I was like, I don't understand. And my parents would be like, don't say that joke again. I'd be like, okay. But and
Duly
now like
noted.
looking back at it, I'm like, oh, that was, yeah, okay. Um,
It's pretty
so
inappropriate for a 3-year-old
yeah,
to be saying.
yeah. Like
That's
if I told
hilarious.
you that joke now, it'd be like whatever. But like as a 3-year old, you're like, oh, he shouldn't be doing that. Oh no. So
Funny.
from age
That's
3, and then
super funny.
yeah, so now I'm rocking it and loving it. It's everything I've wanted. So
Dude, congratulations, man. I love that.
thank you, thank you.
So yeah, I guess let's get into current life. I mean, obviously you just said you're gaining some big traction in the comedy games, selling shows and all the
Yeah,
things, man. What else is going on in your current life?
yeah, man. Comedy is going great. This last year, like I said, started it, uh, and I also have a day job. I work as a registered behavioral therapist. So I work with kids with autism, and
Oh man,
so that's
nice.
yeah, so that's my day job, and absolutely love that. And I mean, those kids are as funny as they come sometimes too. So they
100%.
help me with material. But no, we live in Orlando. It's me and my wife and
I
two
actually did that
kids.
in college, man. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it's always something. Like I love it. I had a
Yeah.
girl the other day who she's I think 11, and she's starting to really trying to learn how to read, and we're getting there. She was sounding out the word but, but, and she's like but, but. And then she looked at me and goes, vacuum, with a straight face. And I lost it. That was one of the funniest things you could have, like, vacuum is not, that wasn't even close. And she looked at me and goes, I didn't get it, did I? And I was like, no, girl, you didn't. But you tried. You tried. And that's all. And
So
like
close.
they say some of the craziest things. Like there was a girl, she was reading a story about Shrek. And we were sitting there and she was like, Shrek is an orgy. I was like, I want you to read that again. And she said, are you sure? I was like, yeah, no, that's not the right word. Um, but the joy that they have is contagious. And so I love,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that word on this podcast. I apologize. Probably should have
What?
vetted me
Oh,
before you
you're
brought me
good,
on.
bro. Hey, no
Um,
worries, no worries.
but no, so that's my wife, she's a nurse, so she works nights, so
Salute to
our
her.
schedules sometimes don't co- connect sometimes, but we're loving everything about it. And the kids, you know, Carly wants me to be a famous comedian, so I think she can, like, you know, get a Lamborghini or something, which isn't going to happen. But but yeah, so no,
Hey,
I've
maybe.
absolutely loved this journey so far.
Dude, that's so awesome. That makes man, that's a really cool little 1-2 punch you got there with you and your wife. I salute
Yeah,
to y'all and thank you for the work that you do. That is
thank you,
definitely
thank you.
takes a special person to do both of those jobs. I always say pay the nurses and pay the teachers, you know.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah,
man. So salute to her, salute to you. Again, yeah, that I can just echo your sentiment on uh the joy that the kids with special needs or in, you
yeah,
know, the on the spectrum or
yeah.
however that may come across, man. It's still to this day one of my favorite jobs I've ever had, and it was,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
for
you
sure.
talk about rewarding and just man, it was so fun. I got so many great memories. You
Oh
talk
yeah,
about
for
just
sure.
funny, man. I got one story real quick. I know you'll appreciate this, man. One time, one of the guys I was working with, we went to get some ice cream, right? And we walk in to the ice cream shop and they had French toast flavored ice cream. And you would have thought it was the greatest thing of all times. I mean, he was like, "French toast, that's breakfast food." That is like just going crazy
Oh
with it. Of course, got a
yeah,
big old bowl of French toast and ice cream, and man, you would have thought like there
oh
was
yeah,
0 problems in the world, and
yeah. No,
man, it
there.
just I go back to that. Anytime I hear the word French toast, I honestly think about that time, and it's just
Yeah, no,
makes me
they have
smile,
some of
man.
the. Yeah, they have some of the biggest
French
hearts. I
toast
mean,
ice cream. That's so crazy. That's breakfast food. I'm like,
I
man, that ain't
I had a kid who one of the things we worked on was him cussing, and he cussed a lot. And but he would also like cuss in ways that didn't make sense. And so I would be like, look, you can't you can't say those things. You've got to use appropriate words. And that's, then I would be like, and at the very least, make it make sense. Like, cuss at me and make it make sense. And so one day he called me every name under the sun, but it made sense. He stopped. He goes, did I do good? And I was like, yeah, man, you did so
I
good.
mean
Like,
I mean,
like, like you
technically.
did what it's like. He did it. I was like,
That
yeah.
that's
At
that's
least it
kinda
made
going
sense
against
this
one of the
time.
goals we're working towards. You got
Yeah,
one
but
right, but yeah.
at least it made sense. And I was like, good job,
Hey,
buddy.
hey,
I
baby
guess.
steps.
So yeah,
That's
exactly.
really funny, man. That's really funny, dude. Man, okay. Let's get into a couple of STP topics, man.
Yeah,
You seem like a joyful person, and I know
yeah,
that
for
comes
sure.
with I always just call it tools and you know just deal with situations or just being able to switch things up. What are some of your go-to ways to do that? Like if you're kind of in a bad spot or kind of frustrated or anything like that, man, what are some of your go-to ways to try to switch that up and come with a more positive mindset, if you will?
Yeah. There, there's a couple of things for me. And one of the main reasons I love doing comedy is bringing laughter to a room. I love that chance to just make people forget about their problems for 30 to
Yes.
45 minutes, however long I'm doing. And, you could have had the crappiest day at work. You could have had the crappiest day at home. You and your wife have been fighting, whatever. If I can come in to the room, make you laugh and forget about your problems just for a little bit, that's, as I've told people before, that's like a drug for me. If I can make you happy, it
Nice,
makes me
man.
happy. And I'm like, man,
That's real.
did you like when I get an like a middle aged 45-year-old woman snort in the middle of a comedy show, I'm just like, oh, that's the greatest thing I've done in a long time.
Victory.
Um, yeah, like I'm just like, I
Love
didn't know
that.
Peppa Pig was going to be at the show tonight, and then it gets real crazy, uh, so so just bringing laughter to people, and even when I don't feel like laughing, if I can get people around me to
Yeah.
laugh, I'm like, okay. And then something my dad always told me was, and this is the stuff that really gets me when I'm really down, is just take another step. Sometimes life can,
Mm,
just almost put a strangle on you, and my dad would always tell me, just take one more step. And that's something I've tried to do in my life, is just when life, to the point where you go, man, I don't think I can take it anymore. And okay, well then I can give up, but I got to take one more step first. And the
mm.
thing is, I'm never going to be there at the end. I'm just always going to have to keep taking that step. And so that's a big thing for me, is with comedy, with life, with marriage, with my kids, with my job, with anything, we got to take that next step. And even if it
That's
doesn't feel
beautiful.
like I've done much, it's just another step. So
Man, that's beautiful. I love that. Really appreciate
thank
that. And I agree. Like stuff gets hard, gets
Yeah.
really hard.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
And
mean,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I mean, there's this world will put a stranglehold on you if you let it. I mean, and that's what I love about what you guys are doing, is like spreading that positivity is so important, because there's so much negativity in this world that you go, golly, this place sucks. And if
Right.
and if you believe that it sucks, it's going to suck. But if you go, all right,
Right.
I got to take that next step. I've got to get to that positive
Hmm.
point. And if you keep taking those steps, you're going to start to go, oh, that negativity, that's in the rear view mirror, and then you
Let's
don't have to
go.
deal with it anymore.
That is facts, man. That is so true. And literally why this whole thing exists, man. And
Yeah,
I will
love it.
say the whole laughter aspect of what that's one of my go-tos as well. Like if I can get
Yeah.
somewhere where someone will make me laugh, I'm gonna be all right.
Oh
That
yeah.
can be like taking that next step forward. And
Yeah, for
um
sure.
yeah, dude, I truly appreciate that approach to the whole thing more than that's super duper accurate. Man, that gets me in my feels just a touch. But
Yeah.
um yeah, dude. Let's see. So we're kind of talking off mic just a touch, and if we need
Yeah.
to, we can take this out. But I did want to ask you. You brought up. I didn't know this about you. The youth pastor stuff. So you talk
Yeah.
about a
Yeah.
transition, man. So can you take me through that just a little bit? So obviously, wanting to be a comedian the whole time, the adoption route and older parents
Right.
that probably instilled a lot of that in you. Just
Yeah.
can you kinda take me through that just a touch, man? I'm super
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, for sure. So I went to school in Nashville for college, Lipscomb University, and
Oh, wow, okay.
wanted, yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to be a youth pastor, youth minister, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, what am I going to do? And my senior year, I started doing stand up comedy, and I was like, man, this is it. This is what I want to do. And then I
That's super cool.
graduated college, and I had been a youth intern at a church for 3 summers during college, and I graduated college and knew that I wanted to be a youth minister and also a comedian. But then about a month after I graduated college, my dad passed away. He had a massive heart
I'm so
attack,
sorry.
and I remember thinking, sitting on my bed, I never want to be funny again. Like screw that. Um,
Oh, wow.
because I my dad, who was my stronghold, my rock, was all of a sudden gone. And so I went through a really dark period for about a year, and really kind of didn't end up where I wanted to be, and I was doing things that I didn't want to do, and and then I kept remembering, you know what, you want to be a youth pastor, you want to be a youth minister. So me and my wife, we found a job in Arkansas at first, and we were there for about a year, and it wasn't a great fit because it was Arkansas, and that state sucks. Like they're like I love all 50 states minus one. Arkansas is just like they're um like I don't
Thanks for
have a
Walmart, but that's
vendetta.
about all you got.
Yeah, like they call it the natural state, and it's like put some makeup on, baby. You know, it, I mean, I'm sure there's some beautiful parts to it. I just never saw them. But I'm trying to be positive, I guess. But then
Hey, there you
my
go.
wife and I moved to Indiana and spent the next 6.5 years doing ministry with a church, and then just life happened. There were some disagreements. There were some issues that we felt that we probably should go our separate ways, and so then I started working at uh, a residential treatment facility for kids. I was campus supervisor, and spent a whole year there during quarantine during the pandemic, and it was one of the few places that was open, and
Wow.
I got to the point where I was working about 60 hours a week, and my daughter at the time looked at me. She was 3 at the time, and she looked at me and said, "Daddy, why do I never see you anymore?" And I was like, "Okay." And so pulled away from that, and then became a registered behavioral therapist, and we enjoyed that, and I've loved it, and did it in Indiana. Now do it here in Orlando, and one thing I always wanted to do was help people. Like you do, spread that positivity, because
Yeah,
I think that for me, my faith is one of my big foundations. It is a very foundation of why I am the way I am. Do I cuss? Yeah, I do. Do I drink? Yeah, I do. But I don't think that stops me from showing the love of Jesus. And I
let's
think
go, man. Let's
so.
go.
I think so many people, unfortunately, go, "Well, you're disqualified because you're this, and you're this," and I truly believe that the things that disqualify me qualify me,
Let's go.
and so I try to show people love all the time. And as a comedian now, when people find out that I used to be a youth minister, they're like, "How does this work?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And then we start to have that conversation, and I tell people all the time, and and maybe it's the wrong viewpoint to have, but it's where I sit with everything. It's I'm a Christian, but I'm not a Christian comedian.
Mm,
Um, and and
that's a bar right there, dude.
I know that, like, yes, I am a Christian who is a comedian, but I'm not pulling people away from Jesus with my comedy.
Mm-mm.
Um, and so I'm okay with where I'm at. And I know that as long as I'm bringing people and doing my best, then I'll let Jesus sort out the rest of it, because like, I learned a long time ago that I'm not good at playing God. So why, I'm barely good at playing Patrick. So like, why should I try to play God?
Right.
Um, so yeah, so I
That's
just,
beautiful.
and I have a lot of people tell me, they're like, you're unlike any other comedian that is here in Orlando. You're one of the nicest people I've ever met. And I'm like, why would you be anything different? Like, you know,
Let's
I
go.
have love in my heart, and I have love in, with my family. And I mean, life's good. So
Right. Dude, that's incredibly beautiful. Thank you for that.
yeah.
Man, that just resonates to the deepest parts of my soul, dude. Yeah, and don't you think Jesus would wanna laugh? Like, don't you think
Oh,
Jesus would be out
oh,
here cutting
I
up with
truly,
folks? Don't you think
yeah.
Jesus
I
would
mean,
yeah,
Jesus was, yeah. You read some of the stories of Jesus, and like we read them so serious, but Jesus was a jokester. Je- and I mean,
right?
if God created laughter, so like how can we not enjoy laughter? I mean, if you don't think God
Yeah.
created things to be funny, look at the platypus. That thing is messed up. Like you can't tell me that like there wasn't like God was like, watch this.
This
Like
will be
that's
funny.
funny. That is funny to me. Like
That's so
and they're
yeah.
like they're poisonous, they're mammals, they lay eggs. Like God was just like, what else you want to do to them? Or is that it? Okay. What if we put a duck's face on him? And the angel was like, God, stop it. And he's like, no, I'm God. I can't. And so
Just
like
super
that's,
fell just smacks the water.
yeah, he's like what, like really, if like God had a bunch of leftover parts and was like, think I can make something out of this? Like
Platypus.
Jesus is up there and he's like, I bet I can do it. And he's like, hold my wine. And the angel's like, that's water. And he's like, are you sure? You're like, oh my God. And God's like, what? And he's like, I meant, oh, you. I'm sorry. And sorry, I get off on tangent. This gets weird. But
Oh,
but yeah,
man, that's
so
so
no, I,
good.
I think God and Jesus absolutely loved to party. I mean, you look at his first
Yeah,
miracle was water to wine. If that dude didn't love to have a good time, then why would he do that? Like, I
right?
mean, if I'm at a party and all of a sudden we run out of, drinks and all of a sudden dude's like, hey, watch this. I'm gonna be like,
Watch
that dude
this.
knows how to party. That guy,
Let's
that's
go.
yeah. So
I love that, dude. That's perfect. That's so good. Um, all right, that transitions well. Let's talk. I mean, the tagline with all things spread the positive is bringing light to what's going right.
yeah.
And that can be very subjective, obviously, but according to Patrick Sisk, man, what is going right in the world today?
Oh man, I think what's going right is there's a sense, and I mean, and you can argue against it, but I think there's a sense of we are getting to a point where we can laugh again.
Yeah,
I think for so long we were scared to laugh because we were afraid we'd catch something because oh God, it's COVID. But like we can make jokes, we can laugh, we can start to really. I mean, I think for me, what the biggest problem with COVID was that I couldn't hug people. I'm a hugger,
mm,
and
I'm a
now
hugger
we're to
too.
that point where like people aren't scared to hug anymore, and
Let's
and
go.
so just live comedy being back for me and being able to bring
Huge,
that joy into a room is like, man, this couldn't have gone on 3 years ago. And it's
right?
so I could talk personally what's going right with me. Yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm headlining clubs. I was nominated as one
Heck
of
yeah,
Florida's funniest comedians. There's good
go.
things going on in my
Congrats.
life, but thank you. But the best things that are going on right now is that I have a wife and two kids that love me unconditionally. That tell me, hey, this is your dream, chase it. My wife,
So good.
again, is a nurse. She works nights, and she never once has told me not to chase this dream. Um, and uh,
Dude,
and and she's a part of my act. Like I tell stories about her, and it's really awkward when she's in the crowd because I'm just like, ooh, uh, but what's going right is what's going right is there's joy in this world, and there might be a lot of people that tell you there's not. Um, on social media all the time you hear how terrible the world is, but then you see joy at a comedy club. You see joy at your house with your kids, with the kids that I work with. There is joy in this world. There's
right.
laughter in this world. And as long as there is someone laughing, then there is going to be something going right with the world. I
Man,
mean, you can't,
clip that one, Tom. Clip that right there, bro.
yeah, you can't wait for life to stop being hard for you to enjoy it. So
Boom.
in
That is
enjoy
facts.
life. So,
Man, that was let's go. Round of applause. Round of applause for that one. I do want to ask, man, how or what were you able to do during COVID? Did you do some virtual stuff, or I mean, was it
so I
straight
hadn't,
struggle
so
bus?
I actually was not a comedian during COVID.
Okay,
So I
I
have
mean,
only been doing comedy for a year full time.
no way.
Yeah, yeah. I started April
Whoa,
13th of last April 13th of last year. I got on stage for the first time since 10 years ago, and
wow,
my wife knew that there was an open mic, um, and my buddy, who one of my best friends now, his name's Helmet. Yes, that is his real name. That's one of the dumbest names I've ever heard. Shout out to you, Helmet. But
is that on
he,
his birth certificate?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's legit
People
on his
all
birth
the
certificate.
Yeah, people all the time, they're
Dude,
like,
that's
"That's your real name?" And he's like,
hilarious.
"Why would I make up this name? Like, that's a terrible name to make up."
I mean,
But
it's a, it's
yeah,
a, I mean, it's an
uh,
awesome nickname,
but
probably, but that is a funny
oh
name.
yeah, it would be, but unfortunately, it's his real name. So, but he was doing an open mic at at a bar close to my house, and my wife was like, "Hey, Patrick," because that's my name, and so,
On
uh,
your birth
she was
certificate.
like, "Yeah, that's on my birth certificate." She was like, "Patrick, there's a open mic um, at this club tonight," and I said, "Yeah," and she goes, "I want you to go to it." I was like, "Girl, it's been way too long." She's like, "Look, you can go. I want you to go to it. I want you to see if you love it. And if you love it, you got to keep going back. But if you hate it, you don't ever have to go back again." And I was like, "Okay." And got on
That's so
stage, did
awesome.
5 minutes, and it was like falling in love all over again. Um,
Man,
because immediately I was like, "Yeah, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life." And so
man, that's incredible.
in that 1 year since then, like I said, I did a theater show in Alabama, um, in Gunnersville, Alabama. I'm headlining a club down here in New Smyrna Beach, May 5th and 6th at Madcap's Comedy Club. And then the next weekend they're opening a second club, and I'm headlining that club. I've been a part of
Man,
I was again one of Florida's funniest comedians. I've gone to a the Tower City Comedy Festival. I was brought in for that, where I won the roast battle for the whole comedy competition. And
nice.
so yeah, I mean it's just one thing after another, and so whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, whatever, things are going right. And that's what
Bro,
helps me know that I'm doing what I'm made to do.
man,
So,
that's got to be an
it's
incredible feeling.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and in less than a year, I had a guy, Daniel, who's an agent, say, "Hey, I want to represent you because you're going to be something,"
You're in good
and that's unheard
hands,
of
man.
for
That's
a
my guy.
young dude to do it. So, I love
How'd he
Daniel. He's a
find
great
you?
guy.
Did he just,
Daniel and I have known each other for many, many years, actually. We actually went
wow.
to a
Oh,
summer
yeah, he
camp
had the
together.
youth. Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to
Okay.
a summer camp
He has that
together
youth
when
can't,
we were
yeah.
yeah, when we were like 15, 14, 15. And
Wow.
so I sent him a message one day. He had liked a post that I put, and I sent him a message. I was like, "Hey, whenever you're ready to sign a comedian, let me know." Thinking, okay.
Wow.
But just throwing out the line. And then about a month later, he was like, "Hey, were you serious?" And I was like, "About that?" He's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Let's talk about that." And we started talking, and he was like, "You are very funny, and you're exactly the type of person I would want to represent because you're authentic and you know what you're talking about, and you're funny." And he was like, "But I've never had a comedian before."
Yeah.
So he goes, "I've got to learn some things." He said, "But I'm willing to grow with you if you're willing to grow with me." And I was like, "Let's do it, dude." So yeah, no, it's been
Man.
awesome.
That's
So,
That's
Yeah,
so awesome, man. Yeah, shouts to Dan, dude. Be sure to check out Wall of Fame Entertainment. He's doing some big things, and he is a extremely intelligent individual, and his heart is most definitely in the right place, like you said. That's so cool,
for
man.
sure.
That's such a cool
Yeah,
story. I meant to ask that sooner, but man, I'm
yeah. No, I'm
glad we got that covered.
yeah. So no, it's been a wild year, and people a lot of times look at me and they're like, "There's no way you've been doing this for only a year."
That's
Um,
wild, dude. That's wild.
and and the cool thing is that it all points back to my past. So yeah, 10 years ago I did comedy, but I was also a youth minister for 7+ years, where I had to make kids laugh, and I had to make people laugh because that's what youth pastors do. And so I was working
Right.
on bits, and I was working on jokes, not knowing that I was, but in the end, like I used some jokes that I used to do in youth group. Like I make these jokes here and there,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh yeah, that was this. So it's been it's awesome. It's how it all plays together. It
That is
all
awesome.
it's like a puzzle. You put all the pieces together because when you get one piece, you're like, what the heck am I going to do with this piece? And then at the end of the day,
Right.
all of a sudden you put all the pieces together and you go, oh, that's a cool picture. So
Absolutely. Dude, that's so awesome. Awesome. Gotta ask, who are some of your favorite comedic influences?
oh goodness. So I've been compared to which I'm not sure it's a compliment, but I've been told that I'm like if Bert Kreischer and Chris Farley had a child, um,
How is that
which
not a compliment? That is
which
most
I mean
certainly a compliment.
like it is, but then like I don't know if they mean like you look like that because that would not be. But Bert Kreischer is hilarious. I love
Yes,
what
he
he does.
is.
It's his storytelling. Tom Segura is his storytelling.
Yep.
Um, and I even look at people like Eddie Murphy, who back in the day, and then even I know this is taboo to say, but like Bill Cosby, if you
Oh,
look just at his body
he's
of work,
hilarious, man.
he was very
Yeah.
funny. I mean, yeah, he was a terrible person, but his
Yeah.
material was good. And but and then some newer people. One of my favorites is Nate Bargatze, um,
Yeah.
who
Local
I
legend.
just saw him down here in Melbourne, Florida, and I tweeted him that I could open for him. He didn't respond, which is kind of rude, but
Hey,
whatever.
hey, time just hadn't caught up. Time just hadn't caught up
Exactly,
yet.
but no, it's
Yeah,
I mean
man.
there's so many people, and then there's people here in Orlando who are what you would call no name people who are just like on the same path as me that I'm like, man, they're so funny. And I learned from them. One of my actually the guy who owns Madcap Comedy Club where I'm headlining, his name's Adam Lowry, and he's been like my comedy mentor. He's a guy that I can throw
Nice.
questions at, and I can go, "Hey, does this work or does this not work?" And then he's like, "Hey, what if you looked at it like this?" And he helps me run through jokes, and
That's huge.
he's been incredible. So there are definitely a lot of people who have influenced me, um, both big names
I love
and small names.
that. Love it. We got couple of here, man. Here with the spread the positive mission and motto. Who's someone in your life that really lives that phrase out on a daily? Just someone that comes to mind that you know really lives out the spread the positive mission.
Yeah, I would probably say my pastor. His name's Don, and
Let's
Don
go.
is been one of the biggest influences in my life. And I probably won't tell him that because to watch this because he'll hear me say nice things about him. But I love making fun of him. He's a giant nerd, but he all the time will just sit with me, talk with me, answer questions, and like he acknowledges the situation of sometimes he's like, yeah, things are pretty awful, but he was like, but they'll get better. And he gives me that hope that there is a future, that that it's not just what maybe is around me, but what, again, it goes back to that, take a step. And so
Yep.
Don does incredible things, and the way he loves on people, and the way he just treats people like they matter is he spreads that positivity.
Hey,
And I
that's
wish,
it, man.
and he's an introvert, and so he'll tell you he doesn't like people, but like the way he loves people, I'm like, man, I wish I could have those relationships with people. Where mine are so shallow at times, because I'm the fun guy, and I just walk in and I'm just like, oh, and they're like, oh, Patrick took off his shirt. And but like Don is having those deep conversations with people and getting to the heart of the matter, and it's that's just as important as being the funny fat guy. And I'm really good at doing that, but no, he's an incredible dude for sure.
Shouts to Don. Shouts to. All right, man. Another one of our closing questions. I always like to ask, just gratitude on everything. We call it the grateful for. Four things you're most grateful for right now. What you got?
Okay, yeah. Number one is my wife. My wife, I talk about it all the time. She is incredible. I couldn't do this
What's
without
her
her.
name?
Her name's Brittany. Brittany
Okay.
Sisk.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, she's the love of my life. People ask all the time. They're like, "I bet she comes to all your shows." She's been to three of my shows, um, and and
That's
and I'm like,
awesome.
people are like, "Do you want to come to more?" And she's like, "No, I hear his stuff all the time." I'm like, "You're okay," but no,
Right. That's funny.
just the way she supports me, because I'm very down on myself. I'm very I, I
Excuse us. Sorry.
Oh, whoa. I must have said the magic word. Um, Pee Wee's Playhouse.
That's legendary.
Anyways, that's weird. Um, I'm very down on
That's
myself at times, and Brittany is one of those people who tells me, "Hey, you got this. You're great. Let's keep going." And yeah, so she's my biggest supporter. Number two would be my kids. They they're incredible. My they have made me a better person. Um, Obviously, they made me a better father because I wasn't a father before them. But they make me want to be a better father every day. Um, and then they've made me a better
That's
comedian
awesome.
because they're hilarious. But I mean, how could they not be? Their dad is this funny. Oh, so so yeah, no, I would absolutely say my kids are number two. Number three, um, number three is comedy, because I was I was to a point where I was kind of lost, and I wasn't really sure who I was, and who I wanted to be. And when I stepped on stage, it's like it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I said earlier, it was it. I I've never been one to hear the voice of God. I'm not sure how that works, but it was like I heard every voice that's ever been in my life go, "This is what you're meant to do."
Man,
Um, and so it was really cool to
awesome.
um, have that realization. So comedy would definitely be number three, um, and then and then number four is just I'm grateful for the people who are supporting me through all this. The people who've come to shows, the people who buy merchandise, the people who take the time to like things or share things. And I suck at social media. Like I hate to like talk about myself, and as a comedian, that's all I can do. All I'm supposed to do on social media is like,
Yeah,
"Hey, look,
right.
I'm here," and it's very disheartening when you share a picture and like one person's like, "Oh, okay, cool," and they like it, but then when I have like 30, 40 people like it, it's like, "Oh man!" And then people are coming out of town to come see my shows, and or they'll be like, "Man, I watched your YouTube clips. Um, so funny, way to go, keep it up." Um, so
That's
so
awesome.
all the people that support me, for sure.
That's a beautiful, grateful for him, my guy. All right, so plug away real quick, and we'll wrap this up. Where can people find you? I know you're not the big social
Yeah,
guy, but
I know.
plug away
I'm
on the
trying to be though.
socials.
I'm trying to be.
Yeah,
So I promise that if you find me on social media, I'm more active than I've ever been. But I'm
nice.
Instagram, Patrick Sisk comedy, Facebook, Patrick Sisk comedy, uh, YouTube. If you type in Patrick Sisk comedy, it's basically Patrick Sisk comedy across the board.
I love it.
Um,
Hey,
I
well done.
it's yeah, it's been awesome.
Nice, man. Well, Patrick, man, it's been an honor. This has been one of the funniest pods I've ever done by far,
I appreciate it.
and it just it got right, it cut right to the core in a lot of ways, and grateful for your approach. Grateful for what you're doing, man, and it's refreshing. It's really cool what you're doing, and man, anybody that's in Dan's circles and mine. So
I
look
appreciate
forward
it.
to future collabs, man. Anytime you're
Yeah,
up in I think we've already talked about trying to get you in studio to maybe do a follow up here when you're back in the Nashville area. Try to get you here at the To the Moon Creative Studios,
yeah, man, I would love that.
Tom's studio over here. And if we could, man, I'd love to collab further, man. Anything we can do from the spread the positive side of things, we're here for you, man. Pulling for you,
Yeah,
and
man, I
got your
appreciate
back.
that.
But man, pumped for you, dude. Congratulations, and
Thank you guys so
man,
much for
I
thank you for
can't
letting me be a
like
part of
it
this.
blew my mind. Yo, that blows my mind that you've been doing this a year. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
insane.
It's fun. I like to feel like this is how LeBron feels when he like steps on the court. Like he's like, oh, I'm a
Right.
natural. Um, and
Like
like
when he
because this
passed
is the close,
Kareem all time
yeah, this is the
points. Yeah, it's
closest
probably
thing
the
to
same
LeBron
feeling.
like that I'll ever get.
I love it.
Like yeah, I'm because I'm not great at basketball. So like but comedy, oh man, I could kick LeBron's
Man.
butt. So
Probably
no,
so.
seriously,
Probably
guys,
so.
thank you so much for letting me be a part of this, and I definitely look forward to working with you guys some more in the
All right,
future.
everybody, be sure to check
All
out
right, man. Well, we'll wrap it up.
lastwordletters.com. Use
Thank you,
that code
Patrick.
STP at
Yeah,
checkout for
thank you
Give a
guys.
like,
20% off.
5 stars, all the things, guys. Leave a just reach out to us. We're easy to find at Spread the Positive. Patrick Sisk, everyone. Be sure to give him a follow and just the greatness unfold, man. We'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you guys so much.